So, a little bit weird flying out of Canada. They actually have U.S. Customs and Immigration here for the outgoing flight. So you don't have to do it when you arrive at your first destination in the United States. So that makes it a domestic transfer. But it means you have to get here to do the whole U.S. Customs thing. Now, according to their website, if your flight takes off after 10 a.m., it's faster than if your flight takes off before 10 a.m. Presumably fewer people working, I don't know. Either way they go about it. Our flight was at 10:45, and so we needed to arrive, therefore, at 8:45. Assuming that it might take 30 minutes to get to the airport, we figured we needed to be here at 8:15, and just for the most insane of overcompensation, we chose to take the airport shuttle at 7:30. Arriving here at the airport and through immigrations and customs and to the gate by, was it
8:45?
8:45. So 2 hours until our flight with nothing to do. I had a runaway dog, which is, if you can believe this, the first time in Canada that I had Canadian bacon on anything. It wasn't very good Canadian bacon. But we've been fed. We're cleared through to Phoenix. And so this
Pokemon hunting.
This is the... You can't find the special Pokemon with a croissant. Anyway, so we're on our way home. This is the part of the story where I have to start recounting this in flashback, because the fact is, I'm always a little leery of taking photographs and video in airports. I think I mentioned that on the way out. And then combine that with the fact that as the day went on, I got more and more and more frustrated. I thought less and less and less about shooting video and more and more about the overthrow of civilization at the hands of angry travel passengers. But Zen. We must be Zen. I will start where we left off. We got on our plane from Toronto to Philadelphia. That went smoothly. That may have been the last thing that went smoothly all day. We got on our plane. And there was a comical little scene here, which we do have video of now, I'll just start. I don't necessarily believe that every airline regulation that there is out there is necessary or absolutely crucial or, a serious problem. Now, for example, keeping your tray tables down. This is one. I understand why they have you do it. They have you do it because if the plane stops suddenly, the thing jams into you and it slices you in half. So, A, right, I understand why the airline wants you to do it, and B, it doesn't matter to me if all the other passengers don't do it, because if they get killed, I don't give a shit, except it will inconvenience me in some way. Nonetheless, it's a game we play, and you don't need the tray table down during takeoff, so just humor them. Put your phones in airplane mode, go ahead and put these seats up, put the tray tables up, you get in the air, you take off, you fly away, and then turn it all back on, whatever, fine. This guy in front of us in the video, even before we got off the ground, even before all the other stuff started to happen. He had his tray table down, he had his iPhone out, it was sitting there, and he was watching video, he had his headphones on. And he was watching a video, which I assumed that he had downloaded. Turns out, no, he was actually streaming it through his cellular connection, but he was sitting there on the tarmac and watching this, and he had his little tiny phone propped up on his tray table. And the stewardess comes down the plane, it's a very small plane, and she taps on his tray, and she says to him, sir, you need to put your tray table up. And then she walks on past him, to which he does absolutely nothing. Now, I don't know what he was thinking, because the stewardess has to go to the back of the plane, and she has to go to the front of the plane. When she comes to the front of the plane, he still has to put his tray table up. She taps on it a little bit more, sticks her head in his face, says, sir, you need to put the tray table up for takeoff. And so he does, in fact, put the tray table up, and he's holding his phone in his hand like this, continuing to watch the movie. Stewardess gets 5 rows in front of him. He looks around like this, and he puts the tray table back down, and he puts his phone on it, and he goes back to watching it. Stewardess, a little while later, the stewardess starts coming down the aisle again. She passes him by and says, sir, you need to put your tray table up. He puts his tray table up again, holding the phone. She goes back. She gets 5, 6 rows down the line. Down comes the tray table. Now, I wanted to put a hammer to this little son of a bitch's head. Because I don't know why. I don't care. Like I said, if we had a bump and that tray table cut that asshole in half, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. And yet, it bothered the crap out of me. And he did this the whole time. And then that's when I realized that his phone wasn't in airplane mode, because he started getting text messages in, and he was... And he ignored that completely. He never put it in the airplane mode. He never put the tray table. And then he got to the point where the stewardess would coming down the way, he would put the tray table up when she would get there. And he would try to look innocent. And then when she'd go back, she'd get a few rows, and he'd put the tray table back down. He did this the whole time that we were on the ground. Now, as I say, he started that long before there was any problem. And then there was a problem. Okay? The storm that had occurred the night before, the trivial little storm that had occurred the night before, we got on the bus to head to the airport, and the shuttle operator said, are your flights delayed this morning? I'm like, no, we've got no warning, because, a week ago we'd gotten warnings, right? And he goes, oh, you're very lucky. All the Air Canada flights. I thought, oh, okay, great. Well, fine, there you go. We're not on Air Canada. We're on American Airlines. It's like, well, that made no difference. So we get out, we pull away from the gate, and then we start taxiing out. And then we stop. And we stop, and we sit there for a while. And after about 10 minutes of just sitting there for a while, the pilot comes on, and he says, well, it's very unfortunate circumstances here, but it looks like we're gonna be waiting here on the runway for a little bit longer than we'd like. And I thought, oh, that we're gonna be here for about 35, 45 minutes, they're telling us right now. So just sit back and relax, and we will be getting on our way just as soon as we can. Now, at this point, I can understand why the guy might put his tray table down and go, well, screw the regulations. We got 45 minutes. But anyway, prior to that, he'd been just being a jerk. And we sat 45 minutes. Now, understanding that we expected only to have, I think, an hour and 20 minutes in Philadelphia. As I'd mentioned before, it's a running joke. In Philadelphia, we always seem to be running from one end of the airport to the other. And it's a long, long walk. There's shuttles, but, how long is it going to take to catch the shuttle? How often do they run? Are they going to get you where you need to go in time? So we ended up, but we had a little more time this time, and that was being eaten away on the runway. And you know what happens, right? Right? If my flight is late arriving at the destination airport, the gate assignment has been taken away. And so they have to find another place for you to dock. And that place causes someone else's place, which causes someone else's place, which causes these whole cascading chains of airport fiascos. This is what happens when they're packed to their gills with their flights. And so we made it to Philadelphia, and we didn't have a lot of time. We did not have a lot of time. And when we got off the plane, and we're coming into the flight, and they're going, passengers who are transferring to other airlines, here's a couple of bulletins. Our flight to Columbus has been canceled. Our flight to Cincinnati has been canceled. Our flight to, I can't remember where the other city was. It was Kentucky or Tennessee or something. That flight has been canceled. You're like, wow, they're canceling a ton of flights. What's going on here? But they didn't mention the flight to Phoenix. So, we get off the airplane. Now, this was a small plane. They had to take, even your carry-on luggage had to be checked. But it's gate checked. So as you get on the plane, they take it, they stick it, and then when you get off the plane, they hand you the luggage back. That worked pretty well coming into Toronto because you got off the plane and you were on the ground and they handed you the luggage from the cart. But in Philadelphia, you're off on a jetway. And so they have to bring the cart and bring it up the jetway. And so everyone's standing along the jetway. And, time is running out. We had 10 minutes to get from one end to the other for the start of boarding. To be fair, you could be a little bit late, but for the start of boarding. No time for food or anything like that, or a bathroom break or anything. You got to go straight to the thing. We had 3 pieces of luggage, and 2 of them came off right away. And so I gave them to chew on, and the kids, and I said, go, right? Get out of here, go to the gate. So they're heading off to the gate, and I'm waiting with every other passenger on the plane. My luggage was the last piece of luggage to come off that plane. There was no one left. There was no more luggage. For some reason, that was the last stinking piece of luggage. So I am far behind everyone else. I am just booking across the airport as fast as I can from one end to the other to get to that flight. And I make it. I make it with about a minute to spare. Just enough time that I actually get to go into the bathroom, laugh about the fact that once again we've run through Philadelphia and not had a chance to see anything, stop and eat anything, do anything at this stinking airport. And we're on the thing and I'm like, at least the flight's on time. Because they're boarding and go. So we all get together and we get on the plane and we get into the plane and we taxi off the runway. And when we get out, the pilot comes on and he says, well, unfortunately, there's a little bit of weather off in one of the directions that we're trying to take off into, and it's got the flights backed up a bit. So we're gonna be waiting here at the gate, well, on the runway, for a while,